Hello, I'm Jeff Watson. Welcome to the zero-emission city of the future. In this city, scientists have managed to revolutionize the way we produce our energy and, more importantly, the impact we have on the environment. In the zero-emission city of the future, things will be a little different. There'll be a greater variety of energy options readily available, including solar and wind power, biomass from energy crops, tidal energy, and even hydrogen. One thing that won't change, however, is that vast amounts of the energy required by this city will still be produced using fossil fuels. The question is how and why.
Global energy demand is forecast to double by the year 2030. Fossil fuels, coal, oil and natural gas, supply more than 90% of current demand for energy, including for electricity and transport. Renewable energy technologies currently have inherent limitations. They are mostly intermittent and storage is a problem. The International Energy Agency estimates renewables will only be able to provide a relatively modest proportion of the overall energy demanded, less than 10% in 30 years' time, and that includes hydropower. While renewables represent the long-term energy future, fossil fuels will be the means by which we get to this future.
It's from here then, and from other sources of fossil fuels, where the most reliable and affordable energy will come, and there's sufficient supplies to last us centuries. The problem is how we control the environmental impact of the current use of fossil fuels with their inherent greenhouse gas emissions. That is, until other forms of fuel, such as hydrogen and other renewables, can make a greater contribution. The solution, which scientists believe is now possible, is to produce energy using traditional fuels, such as this, which will no longer produce emissions that damage the environment. The ultimate goal is not to reduce emissions, but to eliminate them entirely. Using what are termed zero-emission technologies, our traditional fossil fuel energy plants will be transformed. It may sound like science fiction, but it's not. Here's a clue. Carbon dioxide used to make this fizzy drink comes from a vast resource of natural CO2 securely stored underground in South Australia. It's been there, almost pure CO2, for millions of years. As natural gas and carbon dioxide have been securely locked in the Earth for millennia, scientists began to wonder whether the same geological structures that entombed the gas might also be used to trap greenhouse gases produced from fossil fuels. If gas could be taken out of these formations, why couldn't other gases be returned to the same place? An answer to this question is already a reality. Off the coast of Norway, in a formation called the Utsira Sands, there is an oil and gas project called Sleipner. Here a mixture of natural gas and CO2 is captured and pumped up to the platform, where the natural gas is then separated from the CO2. The CO2 is compressed into a liquid and pumped along a pipeline and down through lined drill holes into a deep subsurface strata under the North Sea. Scientists now believe this could be the answer to the dilemma, a safe and permanent way to store carbon dioxide produced from burning coal and gas, a solution called carbon capture and storage. Similar technologies are being used at 70 operations around the world. So how would carbon capture and storage work, and could it get us closer to the zero-emission city of the future? Currently, every time we harness fossil fuels as an energy source, carbon dioxide is produced, and this contributes up to 64% of man-made greenhouse gas emissions around the world. However, as power stations of the future begin to adopt carbon capture and storage techniques, the carbon dioxide will be captured at the source and pumped back into suitable underground geological structures, preventing its release into the atmosphere. The structures need to be geologically stable and deep enough down to enable them to retain the carbon dioxide at the same pressure as the surrounding rock strata. Research has already discovered that many countries are well placed to make use of geological storage of carbon dioxide, with the available reservoir capacity more than adequate for the volumes of CO2 that will be produced in the next century. Even at current emissions, Australia alone has sufficient storage for 1,600 years of its own emissions. So that is the carbon storage element of the equation, but it's only one piece of the solution. Before the carbon dioxide can be stored, it first has to be captured from the power stations where it's produced. This is the second challenge scientists are confronted with. All fossil fuels contain carbon. When you burn a fuel containing carbon, the levels of carbon dioxide produced is in proportion to the carbon content of that fuel. In a conventional power station, because the coal is burned with lots of air, it's difficult to capture the low levels of carbon dioxide in the exhaust or flue gases, and it's extremely costly to do so. So, not only do scientists have to find ways of capturing the carbon dioxide, it needs to be economically viable. They're now working on various ways of lowering the costs, utilising solvents and membranes. They're even investigating other solutions, such as burning coal in pure oxygen instead of air, to get higher concentrations in flue gas. In the future, this may enable us to capture even greater amounts of carbon dioxide from conventional plants. But one of the most promising solutions, however, involves breathing new life into an old technology. Long before carbon dioxide became a problem, coal gas was used for lighting purposes as far back as the late 1700s. The gas was made not by burning coal, but by reacting the coal with steam and air to produce a new gas containing mainly hydrogen and carbon monoxide. Amazingly, more than 2 centuries later, coal gas produced in much the same way may provide the means for diverting carbon dioxide from the atmosphere to storage deep below the Earth's surface. Conventional coal-fired power stations burn coal to heat water and produce steam for a steam turbine. Instead of burning coal, coal gasification opens new possibilities. In the gasification process, coal is partially oxidized under pressure at high temperature. The gas produced can either be burnt in a modern, efficient, combined cycle power plant to produce power, or the gas can be reacted with steam to produce separate streams of carbon dioxide and hydrogen. In a similar process, when natural gas is reacted with steam under pressure at high temperature, it also produces carbon dioxide and hydrogen. The aim then is to store the separated carbon dioxide safely and permanently underground. The pure hydrogen can be used as a clean fuel source for road transportation or combusted in combined cycle power plants to produce electricity. In power stations of the future, the hydrogen-based electricity produced will have only one byproduct: water. In other words, power could be produced from coal with almost no greenhouse gas emissions at all, providing the key to the zero-emissions city of the future. Hydrogen will also revolutionize modern transportation. Vehicles will be powered by fuel cells, a box-like device that converts the chemical energy in hydrogen, by reacting with oxygen, directly into electricity without combustion. Makers of this vehicle are planning new designs using hydrogen to cut all greenhouse emissions. The new fuel, hydrogen, is exceptionally clean, but it's not a naturally occurring energy source. Our immense reserves of coal and gas offer the most affordable and cleanest potential source of hydrogen for energy on a large scale without emissions. Every day we benefit from using these low-cost, reliable energy sources. When we switch on the lights, fire up the heater, turn on a computer, hop in a car or bus, or at work, when we use power to maximize human productivity in manufacturing, production and services, including the fundamental services such as sanitation and the supply of clean water. Regardless, these activities have one thing in common: they all need energy. The modern world has been built using fossil fuel energy, and demand for it will continue. Fossil fuels are the most reliable and affordable solution to our energy demands. New methods could allow us to continue using them and yet reduce greenhouse gas emissions. Carbon capture and storage may allow us to balance economic growth, social progress and care for the environment. This and technologies like gasification may allow us one day to live in a city just like this, the zero-emission city of the future, where we'll have power for life.